Hey everyone, how are we doing? So it's Wednesday, well, it's Thursday actually. Yeah, slight change. 8 o'clock Thursday, Darren Stanton live. Obviously this week we've got a very special guest, who is Eliza Carthy, MBE. Hey Eliza, how are you?
Hey Darren, I'm okay, thanks. It's a bit, it's a bit weird, isn't it?
It's quite nice, quite chilled out. It's bloody bright lights. I've got lights either on or off at the minute, so it's really bright.
You need
Um,
candles,
I do,
mood lighting.
absolutely chilled out. So we're going out, obviously Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So going out to quite a lot of people. But yeah, so you're crazy busy at the minute, aren't you? Got a lot going on.
Yeah, I am actually. Yeah, it's gone from absolutely nothing to suddenly tons and tons and tons. When I basically discovered Clubhouse, and now all of a sudden I'm doing songwriting academy rooms 5 nights a week, which is fantastic.
Oh, really? Wait, you do 5 hours?
Yeah, I'm one of the. He made me one of the mods, so I'm doling out songwriting and career advice to people from my gigless living room, which is fantastic. And I have my own room on Clubhouse as well. We do the folk room every Wednesday at 7 o'clock BST, and I've been making some new recordings. Actually, it looks like the Imagine Village is going to get back together for a special one-off next year at Beautiful Days Festival, and so we've been making some recordings for that. We've just done a beautiful version of The Quiet Joys of Brotherhood, which we're going to put out as a lockdown single. So that's been exciting. What else? Just that alongside being a carer for my man, being a single mum, trying to keep the house clean and the pants washed and all that.
I know. How's she getting on?
She's not too bad actually. She's we've been looking after her in lockdown, so she's all right.
Brilliant stuff. Well, I'll do, just for people that are jumping on and maybe not that familiar, I'll just kind of play a little bit of a clip, because I think I became aware about 5 or 6 years ago, and it was Nottingham Folk Festival, which is New Salabi.
Right.
Because obviously my first.
Oh God, it was incredibly cold that day.
It was freezing.
It was freezing cold. I remember that show.
Yeah, but I just loved. Well, I'll play the clip, but I just loved how you merged. We'll talk about this, but our brass, and it was so many different genres together, and that's what struck me about what you were doing musically. But I'll just play a little bit of a clip. Bring this up. Buffering a bit.
The darkness that keep us all fair, and see what you get, planting missiles instead. Not in my name, you know me.
Yeah, I think it's buffering a little bit for some reason, but we'll got some more clips to play and stuff. So again, Eliza, do you want to just, because part of this show that I do, it is about like the inspiration and things that have kind of inspired you to keep going, really, because it's a tough business that you're in, isn't it? And I know you come from, obviously your parents are very famous musicians, so it's a famous sort of folk dynasty. But part of what I'd like to impart to people is like what your kind of beliefs are and what drives you, if that makes sense. So if there's musicians out there that are maybe thinking, oh, this is not working at the moment, or what am I going to do? What advice, or what do you think would be good advice for them in terms of a belief, or how to think?
Well, never get into music for the money, for a start.
Yeah.
No, I mean what I mean by that, and that is slightly glib, but what I actually mean by that is if you're going to be an artist, be an artist. Speak from the heart, speak from something genuine. What has kept me going is the fact that I have. It's not a job. It's a way of. It's a calling in some ways. I have this stupid need to let everybody know about English traditional music. That's just, it's who I've always been. It's where I come from. It's where my parents came from, and their families too. I mean, we have something like 7 generations of musicians on both sides of my family. So travellers on my mum's side, London Irish on my dad's side, and it's always just been very, very important to us to just get the word out about English traditional music and how wonderful it is. And I think the English sometimes struggle with a sense of identity. Quite often when you see people who identify as being English, they can only do that through aggression, through saying, oh, you know, we need to keep the foreigners out, or, you know, we're being swamped, or things like that. And it's not true. We have a wonderful ancient heart that most of us don't recognise. I think there's a real need in the English to feel part of something. And I think the fact that we don't is often quite sad. And it's quite sad that that comes out in terms of aggression with some people. But we do have a beautiful ancient soul, just the same as the Celts, the same as the same as everybody. So I think it's important to get that out, and for people to know that there's a positive identity behind the football hooligans, you know. Because, yeah, and I've always felt like that. And that's what keeps me going, because, as I said before, it's certainly not the money.
I know, it's the same as what I do. I mean, it's, you know, people think like doing the telly and that. No, it's the same money in it. I've got my
One of my
Gary.
daughters, actually, well, one of my daughter's friends came up to me. They came up to me the other day after I went to pick her up from school. Well, the other day, when it was before this last lockdown, came up to me and she said, "You're rich and famous, aren't you?" And I was like, "Well, I'm famous." And I'm not even that famous. I call folkies, we're F-list. That's what we are.
Oh.
Folkies are F-list.
Oh, well, my friend Gary says hello. He loves your music. My friend Gary.
Hey, Gary.
And then Kay. Kay's a good friend. Nice to be in the police with Kay. She says hi. And then my friend Gareth. My friend Gareth always comes on and puts a dazzle like 10 times. Look, he's put dazzler. No, I think you're right. I think in terms of like identity, it's like, for example, St. Patrick's Day. It's a massive celebration, and you know, I think the thing with like St. George's Day, it's always a bit of a damp squib almost in a way. It's like people are afraid to kind of celebrate that kind of identity in a way.
St. George never came here.
You know what I mean, though? It's
he never came here. Dragons don't exist. St. George was born in the Lebanon, wasn't he? Yeah, I never understood the St. George thing. I do quite like the flag. I do like red and white, but yeah, I'm not a big flag waver. I'd rather.
Yeah.
I was going to say wave my heart around, and that just sounds really gross now that I think about it.
Well, you mentioned the Imagine Village. Mention that because I've got a clip of that with Billy Bragg. Can you talk about that kind of collaboration, Eliza? You know what the whole sort of idea about Imagine Village was about.
Well, originally it wasn't my idea. Originally it was. Well, it was a collaboration between Simon Emerson from the Afro-Celt Sound System and my dad and Paul Weller and Ian Anderson of Folk Roots magazine fame, then F Roots, and now sadly defunct. But he has a podcast show called Pod Wireless, which is very, very good. It was originally an idea between them and the Copper family. It was to do originally with the Copper family songbook. The Copper family, that is from Rottingdean in Sussex, just outside Brighton. And they're another singing family. There are 2 older generations, and then there's a younger generation called the Young Coppers, who are all kind of my age and a bit younger. And the idea was to take the Copper family songbook and play it with a load of people who don't normally associate with traditional music, or with English traditional music anyway. So that's people like Paul Weller, people like Billy Bragg, but also Indian and African musicians like Johnny Kelsey, Shima Mukherjee, and African musicians, and Andy Gangadine from the Bays, and Francis Hilton from Intercontinental, and all kinds of different musicians, people who play jazz, people who play drum and bass, people who play Johnny Kelsey's a dole drummer. He's the leader of the Dole Foundation, which teaches Indian drums. And to bring all of that together and smush it all and see, what a modern multicultural version of something like one of our oldest folk songs, like John Barleycorn, and or something like Hard Times of Old England, and see what it would sound like through a modern cultural prism, if you like, of what modern England actually looks like.
I see. Well, let's play a little clip of that, because it's a track that I really love.
There were 3 men came out of the west, of fortune for to try. And these 3 men made a solemn vow, the barley corn should die. Oh, they ploughed, they sowed, they harrowed him in front thorns upon his head. And these 3 men made a solemn vow, John Barleycorn was dead. They let him lie for a very long time, the rain from heaven did fall. And little Sir John, oh, he raised up his head, soon he amazed them all. Oh, they let him lie till long midsummer, till he looked both pale and wan. Then little Sir John grown a long, long beard, so he became a man. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Mr. Billy Bragg.
So it looks a lot of fun, that does, yeah. How long ago was that? Was that quite a while ago?
Yeah, that was the launch of the first album. So, yeah. Let me think, 2004, I want to say. Maybe.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, something like that. That was the inaugural show. It was kind of a rehearsal show, but it was also a launch at Real World Studios. That's the studios in Box, Peter Gabriel's place. And I recorded Big Machine there. You played the Wayward Band earlier on. Yeah. That very studio is where we recorded that song that you saw us singing earlier on as well. So, they use it for lots of different things. It's a great space. And it was the first time I've been there, and I was just completely taken by the place. It's just gorgeous, old mill buildings with a stream running through it and everything. And look, there's Billy Bragg.
Yeah. What's he like? He's such a really nice guy.
He is a gorgeous, gorgeous man. He had me rather as his support, and has always supported me on my very, very first tour. And I was on the road with him in 1997 when Labour got in, which was quite a night. He does this thing where he has an election night party. He does the swing-o-meter and everything, and then sings his songs in the middle of it all. It's like this. No. And he's always been lovely. I was let me see. I think I'm on 2 of his albums, and I'm also on the Mermaid Avenue Volumes 1 and 2, which is the albums that he made of the songs of Woody Guthrie, because we're friends with Nora, Woody's sister. So, Woody's daughter, sorry. We were kind of in and out of each other's lives for years and years and years. It's been a while since I've seen him, actually, but he's always lovely, and he absolutely adores my mum as well. So, yeah. And I think he used to fancy my cousin, but we don't talk about that.
Well, Gary says that was brilliant. It's really enjoyed that. So the other thing, I was going to touch upon Ben Nevis, if that's all right, because that was really good that you did. So I've got a little bit of a picture that. So So Eliza did a walk up Ben Nevis, which you know, it's massive undertaking, and I forget the amount, but it was a lot of money that you raised with your colleagues.
Raised £8,000 for Children's Leukemia Trust. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've got a picture. That's sort of me and you.
There we are.
And then that's the team.
Yeah.
And then obviously the thing that you vowed to do was to play the violin at the summit, didn't you?
I did. Have you got a copy of the video?
I've got a clip. Yeah, I want to play that.
Oh my God, you got it. Yeah, do it.
So that was sorry,
that is a smile of a woman. That is a smile of a woman who actually managed to carry a violin all the way up to the top of Ben Nevis and then play it. Now,
it was amazing.
The small matter of getting down afterwards, which I was very pleased to have company for.
No, it was pretty amazing. I'm just going to sorry, there's just a slight glitch. I'm going to get you back on in a second.
Looking at all those blooming splitters that left me on the mountain on my own. Look at them.
I know. Well, David's just I'm not sure how bad it is, but he's just slipped in the snow. Been out walking. There's me and David and Laura.
Oh no.
Yeah, he's just. I'm not sure if he's fractured his ankle but he's just. He's currently sat at A&E, so he's gutted that he couldn't jump on and talk to you.
Oh, what a shame! Couldn't hop on.
David and Laura. So he's the 1 week you're on, because he supports me a lot. Both of them do. They're always on the show and stuff, and yeah, he was gutted that they can't be able to talk to you.
Oh, that's a shame. I shall send him my best when we get off this.
Yeah,
so he's a very nice man, and of course, him and Lara gave me my invitation for Clubhouse, so I've got a lot to thank them for, because I'm really enjoying that experience at the moment. So.
Yeah.
How are you getting on? How are you getting on with it? It's a good experience, isn't it?
It is. I mean, I've picked up a lot of people from the States actually. So I'm finding. I mean, I've just applied for my that regular slot. So I'm just waiting for that to come through. But generally, I do stuff at the weekends now. But yeah, it's good. It's really, and I think the people that are on there, Eliza, that it's really genuine. I mean, I think for me, Facebook, I'm not that fussed on Facebook, but I think on Clubhouse there seems to be a lot of people that they're willing to kind of share and collaborate. It's not just about them, if that makes sense. I found some really genuine people.
Yeah, I found that too. I was talking to somebody about this in my room on Wednesday night. I was saying, I think that without the pandemic, Clubhouse would not have flourished in the same way that it has, because in what other circumstances would you have the CEOs of Fortune 500 companies sitting around doling out free advice to literally anybody on their phones? And everyone's in the same boat. Everyone's got the cats jumping up on the computer, and the kids are running around, and everyone's. I was listening to this woman the other day who was actually running from room to room from her children so that she could ask a question. But it's the nicest thing. The nicest thing about Clubhouse is that nobody's actually. The people up on stage are not pitching anything. They're genuinely, it appears, there to help.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Apart from one really weird room I was in the other day, where they were all just. I was in this room for film syncing because I was quite interested in getting some more film soundtrack work, and I thought, film sync 101, this sounds interesting. And I went in, and the first 24 minutes were just these three women laughing about how they weren't going to listen to people sending them music, and I was like, well, that's not very nice. And not very helpful. I got really angry and I had to leave. It's like these three girls going, hey, we're not gatekeepers, but we're not going to listen to you. And I was like, oh God, that's horrible.
Wow.
But that seems to be the exception. That seems to be the exception to the rule. I've not visited any of the big booty rooms yet, but or the alien conspiracy rooms. There's a few of those too.
Well, Elon Musk was on one night, and apparently the servers melted because I think they set up for like 5,000 people. And I think there was like 50,000 hit this room, and it just melted.
Yeah, that was everyone's panties got in a flutter when Elon Musk turned up, and then of course, what's his name, Facebook guy turned up as well. So
yeah, Zuckerberg. I'm not sure how popular he is, but yeah, I think it was still a bit of a meltdown. But so in terms of, I found another clip as well, which I really like, and it's you and Sol Rose, and you just kind of just improvise, well, not improvising, but you sat on a park bench. Is it Sidmouth? I really like this clip.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just play this because it's.
Hello, my name is Eliza, Carthy, and this is Sol Rose. And we're going to play Trouble Over Bridgewater
by James Hill.
4.
So, as you know, I play piano and I'm learning violin, but it's always intrigued me. I watch your fingers so many times, Eliza, and I'm like, wow, it's just mesmerising.
That's a particularly rough tune to learn as well. James Hill tunes are always the hardest. They're always full of loads of jumping around.
Yeah.
But yeah, very, very post baby me in that picture there. My youngest was my youngest was only a couple of months old at that point. But yeah, it's they made a bunch of those. Sidmouth Festival made a bunch of those to I can't remember what it was for now. And they did, they were sort of filming people up in the woods and like standing in the ford and things like that. And yeah, my favourite bit of that video is that woman sitting on the bench like as far away as she possibly can.
Yeah.
She looks absolutely killing herself laughing. It's a great little scene. Yeah.
And somebody keeps setting off the hand dryer, don't they? Because it's like you keep thinking it's bumping up. I thought it was a drill, but it was a hand dryer or something. It might be in the background. Kay said, do they have a surprise room? Can you? I'm not sure what you mean, Kay. Can you elaborate what you mean?
What you mean, a clubhouse? Is this a clubhouse question?
It might be. I'm not sure. I'm not quite sure. But do they have a surprise room?
Well, they have all kinds of different rooms. I mean, you can we had an after party room in there the other day. Like we did a normal songwriting academy room, and then everyone just piled into another room and started making whale and chicken noises for some reason. I think it was a tension release thing. But actually, that was a little pop up. Yeah, that was a little. There's lots of little pop up rooms, and that was a little pop up room. And we did. I have to tell you about it. Was just the most incredibly moving thing, because everybody's struggling at the moment. Everyone's struggling at the moment with the speed of light, right? Because nobody can play together at the moment. I can't play like Saul lives in Durham. If me and him wanted to play that tune together right now, we couldn't, because the internet doesn't work that way, because the speed of light doesn't work that way. There's just far too much latency. You can't actually play together anything with a beat. It's completely pointless. Right. But in that particular room, in that after party room, everybody had an instrument. Someone like the guy who started the room, he had a piano. Somebody else had something else. I had the fiddle, and we were all so desperate to play, and we couldn't. And someone came up with the idea of just everyone pick a note. Everyone just pick a note. And there were about 50 people in the room. And some people sang and some people just played. And we all played one note. And it turned into this incredibly beautiful chord. Mm-hmm. And of course, on Clubhouse, you've got your headphones in. So it was just like 50 people in just all singing and playing. There's just this one incredible swelling note that went on for about 2 minutes, and it was, honestly, I nearly burst into tears. It was so moving, just being with another 40-50 people again in a room and making music together, just the sound of their voices, the sounds of their instruments, and the fact that it was all happening live. And then when it finished, everyone just kind of burst out laughing. It was amazing. It was a really moving experience, actually. All kinds of weird stuff happens on Clubhouse.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely want to get more involved in it because it is a great community. I mean, that sounds brilliant. Just that your show clashes, well, kind of. I might just try and drop on next week actually, because I start at 8, you start at 7. So yeah, but no, that sounds really good. Have you got any questions for Eliza? Anybody have questions or anything they'd like to ask? Is there any chance we can twist you on to play anything, Eliza, or you're not in the middle?
Yeah, I could play something if you like. I think the fiddle's probably a bit harsh for the.
Okay.
I'll give you a bit of this. Hang on. I just have to get it round my headphone.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to take them out.
Oh, no worries.
I've spent so much time in this little chair. Like I've got my normal microphone here. That's my microphone there, and I've got the computer on the desk and my little USB interface here. And I've spent so much time just sitting here getting tangled up in wires for the last few months. It's crazy. Oh, come on. Come on, mate. Is it you, sweet loving Nancy, 10,000 times adieu? I am going over the ocean to seek for something new. Come change your ring with me, dear girl. Come change your ring with me. It might be a token about your love while I am on the sea. When I am far across the sea, you know not where I am. Kind letters I will write to you from every foreign land. The secrets of your mind, dear girl, are the best of my goodwill. So let your body be where it might, my heart will be with you still. There's a heavy storm arising, see how it gathers round, while we poor sailors on the sea are fighting for the crown. Our officer commands us, Lord, and him we must obey, expecting every moment for to get cast away. There are tinkers, tailors, and shoemakers lie snoring fast asleep, while we poor souls on the ocean wide are plowing through the deep. There's nothing to protect us, Lord, or keep us from the cold. On the ocean wide where we must bide like jolly seamen bold. And when the wars are all over, there'll be peace on every shore. We will drink to our wives and the children and the girls that we adore. We'll call for liquor merrily and spend our money free. And when our money is all gone, we will boldly go to sea.
beautiful. Thank you. What's that called, Eliza?
Adieu, sweet, lovely Nancy.
Amazing. Nobody got any comments on that from people watching? You say it's beautiful.
Sorry. Yeah, I don't know if I've ever recorded that one, actually. I know I intended to at some point. Oh, it's on, actually. I'll tell you what it's on. The Waterston Family Archive recordings, which are based at musicglue.com/Eliza-Carthy. There is a new album out of demos, which is just called The Demos, I think. And it's on there with another song that I wrote with it called If I'd Had the Time. So you can get it from there. That's the Waterston Family Archive site at musicglue.com/Eliza-Carthy. That's a mouthful, isn't it?
Right. Well, Claire says that was lovely. Thank you.
Thanks, Claire.
Kay's just put, you're a very talented lady. Sanita, my friend, she says that's beautiful.
Thank you.
If you can see those comments, Eliza, on the screen. But
That's lovely.
yeah,
Thank you so much.
The feedback. Anybody else got any questions for Eliza? A few shout outs. So Famer from Fraser. Hey Kay. Sanita, it's good for you to jump on. Thank you. Good to hear from you. So a quick check through here. See what I've got for you. Sorry, just bear with me. This is one of my favourites that you do, Eliza. Oh, sorry, it's buffering. Oh yeah. Sorry, dropped out. Yeah, I think it's must be a signal because it's buffering. But yeah, I think what I love about that, it's like you're so plugged in, aren't you? It's like I don't know how you kind of do that for like 2 hours or whatever the set is, because that's one of the tracks that when you played at Nottingham, and I was like, wow. So you know what I mean, it's just amazing how you kind of keep going. I mean, to do it like a live set because you headline, every folk festival you go to. What's it like, in terms of how do you kind of keep that stamina up, or is it just something that you're in the zone when you're on stage, or how does that work?
Well, when I train for that band, I did train. Yeah, I go out we're on the Cleveland Way here. It's just over there, in Robin Hood's Bay, and so I go out, and it's basically power walking and sprinting. Of course, I haven't done it for over a year now, but one of the things that I used to do, because there's one particular section in a song that the Wayward Band does called The Sea, where I have to jump up and down on the spot for 48 bars for the full duration of the trumpet solo, and then I have to go straight back on the mic again and sing. And the first time I did that, because it's like That's that 12 times,
Yeah,
and then
wow.
straight back on the microphone to sing. And there's only one way that you can do that, and that's you have to train for it.
Yeah.
And so I did that by just getting the power walking going, and then I would sing the trumpet. I would sing that trumpet section while I ran, and then I would stop and sing. And that's how I practiced. That's how I got myself up to do that.
Yeah. I think it's, sorry,
No, go.
I was going to say, I think it's something that a lot of people don't kind of factor in, like doing that on stage. It must be just so knackering to do like a 2-hour set, whatever it is, because you get loads of encores as well, don't you? They won't let you go once you're on stage.
Yeah, absolutely. Hang on, I'm being interrupted. Hang on, my mum's just coming down.
No problem.
Sorry, everybody. Hey, Mum, I'm in the middle of a gig. It's okay. Do you need anything? Okay. Is Izzy okay if she's? I bought her some rolls if she wants a sandwich. I bought Izzy some rolls if she wants a chicken sandwich.
Yeah, but she's ate her whole hammer.
She didn't. She gave it back. Oh, she ate yours?
No, she ate that whole hammer.
No, she didn't. She gave it back. I've got to go. Right, sorry.
It's all right.
The perils of gigging from home.
Well,
I have to make sure the kids are fed.
that's all right. Yeah, I had a really good. When I came to the house that time when I came from Scotland, I had a really good chat with you, Mum. It's really interesting.
She is chatty.
So, just see if anyone's got any questions for you. Anybody got any feedback, any comments? So Kay asks, Eliza, what was your first instrument you played and at what age? I know you were really young, weren't you?
I started playing the piano when I was 8, and then I took up the fiddle. Well, my mum wanted me to get fiddle lessons at school, so I started playing the violin, like violin lessons, associated board grades, when I was 11. But I absolutely hated it. I did it for about 3 years, and I didn't get to. I got to grade 2.
Right.
And I hated it. Absolutely hated it. My violin teacher knew not to bother with me. We just used to mess around, tell jokes and stuff in the lessons, because I just didn't practice. I didn't like it. It wasn't until I met Nancy Kerr when I was 15, 16 that I started to be interested in playing the violin, because she was my age. She had purple hair and huge boots, and I thought, all of a sudden it all made sense, because to me, when I was growing up, my dad was away. He was on tour with Brass Monkey, and it wasn't until he came back in 1988 he started working with Dave Swarbrick, and Dave Swarbrick would rehearse at the house rather than my dad going somewhere to rehearse somewhere else and then going off on tour. Like, he did a huge tour of Malaysia and Indonesia and stuff in the sort of mid 80s. So he was, they just built the farm where I grew up, and he was basically paying for all of that. He was paying for all of the work. My uncles were the builders. One of them was an electrician. The other one was a builder. They said so they built the houses, and my dad basically paid for it. That was how they did it. And but then he came back in 1988 and started working with Dave Swarbrick again. Wow. And that was my first real close up with instrumentation, because of course the Watersons, my mum's group, were purely vocal. They didn't play any instruments, so I didn't have anything in front of me that showed me that the violin was a good idea. I just didn't know. I kind of wanted to be an Irish piper. I'd grown up watching people playing the uilleann pipes and listening to Seamus Ennis and things like that, so I didn't see any point to learning the violin until I met Nancy, and suddenly I was surrounded by fiddles. I met Nancy, Dave Swarbrick showed up, and so did Chris Wood, who's also in the Imagine Village. Right. He was being mentored by my dad at the time, and he was the first person that showed me how to play and sing at the same time, play the violin and sing at the same time. And then all of a sudden there was a connection, because it was songs. So there I had songs, and I had the means to play them. And then Nancy, the thing about Nancy was that she was a great tunes player and a great tunes library. She hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of tunes in her head, and she could sit and play for a caddy for 4 hours with her purple hair and her big boots. And I thought she was brilliant, you know. So that was when I really took an interest. And I guess by the time I was 18, I'd been playing the fiddle for about 18 months, maybe 2 years at that point. I started off playing the mandolin in our early shots. She's got a fiddle and I've got a mandolin. And then I transitioned to the violin, and I'd made my first album on the violin within about 18 months after that, which is a bit mental if you think about it.
Is it mental? Yeah.
Yeah, but I just spent all my time sitting on the stairs playing, all of my time. When we moved down into Robin Hood's Bay in 1988, 89 something, I used to spend all my time sitting on the stairs because it's one of those Victorian houses. It's got like the tall central hallway kind of thing. And our next door neighbours were the milkman and his wife. And she was absolutely lovely. She came to my mum once and she said, "Oh, your daughter playing the violin on the stairs at 2 o'clock in the morning." My mum was like, "Oh God, I'm so sorry." And she said, "No, I had to get up to do the milk round anyway. I just wanted to drill a hole in the wall so I could hear it better."
Wow.
I was like, "That is the neighbours. You should meet our neighbours now." Bloody hell!
It's looking to take up the drums and Eliza, isn't it?
Yeah, we've got the drum kit now. The drum kit's in here now, but we're only allowed to play that during the day.
I think that's what struck me when I came to yours. It's like you've got loads of pictures of like you obviously your mum and dad touring and stuff, and you can always, from what you're saying, you can always feel the just music just run through, doesn't it? I mean, you've been in music your whole life, and your parents have, and it was just lovely talking to your mum and dad. You know, it's so interesting.
Yeah, it's full of history, this place.
Kay also asks, you're chatty, Kay. Keep them coming. She says, "Do you give your fiddles a name?" That's an interesting one.
I don't actually, but two of them do have names. I didn't name them, but there's my granddad's fiddle is called Adolf because it's called Adolf because it's a copy of an Adolf Carassi violin. It's German. It's a beautiful fiddle. I inherited it from my granddad. But my friend Jock Tilsley, who plays with Vera Van Heringen, he always wanted my fiddle and he absolutely loved it, and he nicknamed it Adolf. So that's Adolf. That's my original violin. And then I have this one. Hang on. And I wanted to give this one a name. I wanted to name this one actually. I'll play a bit so you can hear what it sounds like.
Oh, brilliant.
You hear how low that is? Now, I called it Bull Fiddle after the bass in Some Like It Hot.
Ah, right.
Where Jack Lemmon goes, Bull Fiddle.
Yeah.
Bull Fiddle. I always like that, but it didn't stick. Probably because my mates are not as big Some Like It Hot fans as I am. But my friend Kate, from Kate and the Kettle calls it the Whale. So that's the Whale or Bull Fiddle. Or possibly Bull Whale. I don't know. But yeah, I didn't name him.
Fantastic question. There's a great documentary about you, isn't there? My music that's on YouTube, and the guy that made, does he still make your violins for you, your fiddles? Because
Tim Phillips. He actually just retired. He retired. He retired this year. Yeah, he made a final. Now what was it? A final 20 or a final something? But he's just selling the last ones now. But sorry, you were going to. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I was going to say it's interesting because he obviously was. I don't know when that was shot or when the interview, but he said, I made a violin and sold it to you for £1, so he could then say, "Eliza Carthy plays my fiddles."
Yeah, I love that. I did a photo shoot for his wife, when she told us that he was retiring, and she said, could you take some pictures of you with the fiddles? And I was like, well, I could do the classic posing with the babies kind of thing, or I could do something a bit different. So I did. It was all selfies again because we're all in lockdown still, but I did a series of pictures of me in marigolds at the washing at the sink in the kitchen, with all of the violins on the drying rack, and me looking very tired, pulling up my marigolds. And then I took them out. I did horribly abusive things to them, and I took them out in the garden and I posed with them on the bins. And what else did I do? I was going to get in the bath, but I thought that was a bit much. So yeah, and she collated all these pictures of all of the fiddle players that he's sold violins to over the years.
Wow.
And put them all in a memorial book for him, which I would love to see. Actually, I thought it was going to be a commercial book, and we were going to put it out because I'd really love to see everyone else's photos. I'd love to see what everyone else got up to. But yeah, he's a smashing bloke, is Tim.
Yeah.
I used to spend so much time at the workshop down in Newtown Powys. Well, he's in Mould, isn't he? You're just outside. So absolutely gorgeous place. Another mill with a stream running through it. I've got a thing about mills.
Yeah, it looks a pretty nice place on the entry. So anybody got any questions? Any more, Kay? Anything else for Eliza? So I guess, like, with all this happening, I mean, we've both been sort of quite proactive online, but have you got anything booked for later this year, Eliza? Any sort of live gigs or anything?
I do. Well, we just had another hammer blow this week with them. The new government announcements aren't great for me because I had a bunch of gigs booked in April, so they've all gone now. They've gone to April 22. That's a trio tour. We have one festival has been rescheduled. That's the Wickham Festival has just come out and said that they're definitely going ahead. That's the first. That's the first weekend in August. The Wickham Festival is just outside Portsmouth, and it's a fantastic lineup. I think Van Morrison is headlining.
Wow.
And then there's us and a bunch of other people, like Three Daft Monkeys and loads of people. Anyway, the Wickham Festival, have a look at it. It's a great do. So they've just announced that is going ahead. We've got sorry, I've got something stuck in my throat. We've got with fingers crossed for Sidmouth again, because the Restitute band, or the Restitution as they're becoming known, were booked at Sidmouth last year, so that's carried on to this year. We're very much hoping we can do that. The problem with Sidmouth is because it's based like the Whitby Festival in a seaside town. A lot of the venues are quite small. But you have to involve them because the Sidmouth Festival has been in Sidmouth now for 60 odd years. So you can have the big ham marquee at the end just by where that bus stop is, actually. Yeah. The big ham marquee, which seats like 800 people, I think it is. But the problem is, and that's perfect for a COVID safe venue, but then you're not using the town at all. And the town does tend to get a bit annoyed if you don't. So it's a real balancing act there. So they're going to announce in the next couple of weeks what they intend to do about that. I do have finally the Through That Sound My Secret Was Made Known / Restitute tour should be going ahead in September, and I will be selling Through That Sound My Secret Was Made Known, which is my new album, although it's a year old now, and this loveliness here, my new songbook.
Brilliant.
Which you will be able to buy from us on the road. You can get this from the Music Glue site as well. They are selling these online. So yeah, September, and then me and my dad have some gigs as well. The big one for us was May the 8th, the rescheduled Brighton Festival curated by Lem Sisse. I was commissioned to do a big show, so I have the East show, which is my dad's and my new band, with Barney Morse Brown and Shima Mukherjee from the Imagine Village, my cousin Mary Waterson, a dancer called Ewan Wardrop who plays ukulele and does traditional East Anglian step dancing, and myself, obviously. But then we have still three special guests in Wilco Johnson, Kenneth Cranham and Miranda Richardson, who are coming to do some readings for us. Sadly, that was booked for May the 8th. and now that has to be moved. So
Yeah.
that will probably be either at the end of May now or sometime in June. But the organisers are looking into that. So
Yeah.
that show is going to be really very, very special, because it's also my dad's 80th birthday.
Oh wow.
And it's at Brighton Dome, so it's going to be hopefully a bit of a party, COVID permitting.
Sounds good.
That's the next thing. And then me and Saul, that you saw earlier there, and
Sure.
David, who's the guitarist from the Wayward Band, we're making a trio album together. We're making that in May when we can congregate, and that's called Conversations We've Had Before, because we keep having this conversation about how we really need to make an album.
Yeah.
So we're gonna be doing that in May. Well, basically as soon as we can legally get together.
Yeah,
We've got
absolutely.
all the materials all demoed and everything. So we're just waiting for actual physical contact.
I'll put the links on in a second before we kind of wrap things up. But I think that's been the biggest thing, hasn't it? Is the fact that not being able to be on stage and have that audience, kind of connection.
Yeah.
It's okay on online, but it's not the same, is it?
It's not the same at all. No, I mean, it's kind of nice. We're all getting used to Zoom. We're all getting used to Zoom, and people on Zoom, at least they can clap and you can see the comments on the side and things like that. So but the first time you do it, it's a very, very bare experience. It really is, and especially if you're doing it in your front room, like here.
Of course,
I mean, it's a
yeah.
very nice front room, but I'm not used to gigging in it, And the first time excuse me again, the first time I attended a singing session. I attended a singing session in Dublin, and I was like, "Oh, my mates are going to be there." So I did my hair, and I went and sat in the kitchen, and my son came in, and he went, "Are you wearing makeup in the kitchen?" That was back in April. That was by last April, and I was like, "Yeah, this just feels so bizarre."
It's bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, have I ever lost a fiddle or destroyed one? No, I haven't. Although I had a couple of bad things happen to them. I did leave a fiddle on a train once, but I got it back.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that was pretty scary. And a Morris dancer stabbed one of my violins with a sword once. That happened. Luckily, it was a long sword, so it wasn't sharp. It just had like a rounded end, so it's just got a little dent in it. And a sound engineer dropped a violin on my viola, so it's got a bit of a crack. But no, I've never actually. I have had a violin come apart on me, actually, now that I think about it. The first time I went on tour in the States, or rather in the southern states, where it was very, very, very humid, I was in the middle of playing a show, and my violin just went, like it just melted. It was insane.
Wow.
Like all the glue just melted, and it just opened, like it had swollen so much. That was crazy. Fortunately, it was a music festival, and there were luthiers there, and I got it fixed like within 24 hours and dried it out and everything. But yeah, that was weird.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think the key is with violins to not like have your most precious instrument on the road with you. You save those guys for the recordings, and then have a touring instrument. Not that I don't use Tim Phillips's violins very respectfully, but I sort of learned that the hard way with my grandfather's fiddle, which I really did beat the crap out of. Like it's covered in green hair dye and it's got scratches all over it and stuff.
Yeah,
but then I was a punk. I was a punk. What are you going to do?
Exactly. So just, any final questions? Because it's gone really quickly. It's just like coming up onto 9 o'clock. So I'll put your links on, Eliza, so people can kind of connect with you. So that's your website and Twitter.
Yeah.
I know you've obviously looked across all platforms.
I'm on Instagram now. Yeah, I'm on Instagram now. That's the one thing that's the kind of main thing that I learned from Clubhouse, actually, is just that I really needed to up my proper social media game. So I've been working on my YouTube channel and taking all of those videos that you showed and other stuff from over the years, stuff from when I was with Joan Baez, when I was touring with, when I did stuff with Paul Weller, when I worked with various different people. I'm putting it all in the one place, so all on my YouTube channel. And I also admitted finally that I had to engage with Instagram. So I am on Instagram, which is Eliza Carth with 2 H's, because it was set up by my kid. I'm going to admit it. It was set up by my 9-year-old child, who knew more about it than I did. But yeah, I'm posting there regularly now, every day as well. So do look out for the YouTube videos. There's a new YouTube video up every single day at the moment. So I'm trying to. I'm more than halfway to 1,000 followers now. So
that's fantastic.
Yeah, and hopefully when we get out of lockdown and start making some new videos as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So Kay just says fascinating stories, Eliza. It's been great.
Thank you.
Anybody got any final things before we wrap this up? Yeah. So I want to thank you for coming on. It's just gone really quickly. So I know
yeah, that's lovely.
Yeah, mum and stuff. So I appreciate your time, Eliza.
No, absolutely. Can I quickly plug my coffee as well? I do have a coffee account. If you wanted to, it's one of those buy Eliza Carthy a coffee things where you can just go and choose how much. It's like a tip jar basically. So if you wanted to donate to the coffee account, it's www.co-fi. So that's ko-fi.com/Liza-Carthy, and you can make donations on there, and my little shoeless children will thank you for it.
Thank you. And the one final one from Kay: are your children followed in your footsteps?
Well, in that they're wandering around after me, nagging me to go to Sainsbury's. Yes. Musically, actually, my youngest has a very beautiful voice. She has sung with the family a couple of times. But that was 3 years ago now. She's actually on the Anchor album that we made, the last family album that we made, which is this one. She's on that, singing away on the bonus track on the end. We recorded this one in Robin Hood's Bay in Self in the old Presbyterian chapel down the bottom. And my eldest has just taken up the ukulele. He's decided that he has very specific songs that he wants to learn how to play. He wants to play Come As You Are by Nirvana on the electric guitar. He wants to play, there's a particular thing that he wants to play on the piano, and a particular thing that he wants to play on the ukulele as well. So he's kind of working away at that at the moment. I brought him a guitar back from my studio, and I've got him a little amp to plug into. So I sometimes he's in the next room to me, so I hear him playing the ukulele sometimes in the morning as well, which is really nice. So.
Fantastic. Oh, we'll see what happens then. Fingers crossed. See where he goes with it.
Fingers crossed. I could do with a family band. It'd also be so handy to have people to play with in the house. I'm so used to having this, like, where are the 17 people that I've spent the last 5 years with? Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, it's a big band, wasn't it? Wayward Band was a big band.
11 piece plus crew. Yeah, fantastic.
Well, I just want to say again, just thank you to Eliza. If anyone's got any comments, please do connect. Go onto our website, and obviously she's got some fantastic stuff coming up. And like I say, I'm not just saying this live, but to see you live, it's a pleasure. So thanks a lot for jumping onto that. Really appreciate it.
Pleasure. Thank you, Dan.
All right, take care.
You too.
See you soon. Take care.
Bye.